Sustainable investments are increasingly attractive as people recognise that their capital has real power and the way things are invested can actually make a difference to the world. I think people are looking for more from things than just a financial return, and you're seeing it in consumers actually buying goods and services based on the way a company behaves as opposed to just what the company does.
There is a higher and higher demand on sustainable finance products. Number one, I think it's the much higher and higher awareness on climate change impact. The second is the ESG integration and also engagement. Because once financial institutions, they learn this, they start to incorporate ESG policies into their lending and their investment. Lastly, because when you see this progress, you can benchmark your peers. Once they start to do more, they can see the meaningful part of that. It becomes self-driving.
When we talk about sustainable investments, we think about them in terms of those that can generate strong financial returns alongside sustainability. And in fact, sustainability driving strong financial returns. The challenge for the market is really to continue seeking return-driven sustainability. And in so doing, we'll be able to unlock significantly more capital to be invested in these ways.
Why are Asian issuers slower than other developed countries in terms of issuance of sustainable finance products? Number one, I think it's awareness. They are still in learning stage, but it's accelerating. Number two, I think they will be comparing the aggregate total cost from various sources of issuance. Not just investors look at total return. I think issuer will also look at total cost. And the third one is I can see broadly they are still quite high percentage of corporate who are more hesitant on ESG or climate actions. I am seeing the awareness improving. I would expect very fast improvement in the next 3 years.
It is true that this is a growing market and there is generally more demand for sustainable investments than there is good supply. I think collaboration between issuers, banks and purchasers of securities is the key to actually increasing the ability of issuers to create new securities. Clearly, there are increased compliance and reporting costs associated with issuing a green or a social bond. However, the demand is there, and over time, hopefully, it will become easier and easier for issuers to access that space.
Clear interest on transition companies. These tend to happen in those companies with very high emissions because they are being asked questions all the time. And I will hope to see this will expand into not just the super big company, but also the mid-big company. So from investor engagement, if we can also advance it into government involvement, with government pushing and creating a proper legal framework to promote that, they will also be very helpful.
Generally, there are two elements that are considered when trying to identify a sustainable investment. The first is, if you're investing in a company, what does that company do? The second is to look at how a company goes about doing its business, and that's where we would consider things like the quality of governance, but also other environmental and social aspects of the way the company is operated.
So to be honest, I think a lot of financial institutions are hungry for issuance. It's just the issuers, do they understand that?
Globally, there is about $131 trillion that is held by pension funds, sovereign wealth funds, insurance companies, fund managers. That's almost 2 times the annual global production of our world. It's so immense in the context of a small system that we have that it will leave a footprint. As fund managers ourselves, banks, pension funds, we need to be thinking about how we deploy that capital. We need to invest in ways that's mindful of the impact that that investment has. As more and more people demand sustainable investments, the more chance we have to fulfill, I guess, that responsibility that the financial system has to, help shape the world.